Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. This is Ankai Media. We are your host. My name is Ocean Simeano.
I'm Taylor Vieira.
And I'm Connor.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Connor back for another episode. You guys seem to like the episodes that he's in, so we're going to give you guys more of them while he's still here. So today we are going to bring to you guys a breakdown / review of Disney Plus and Lucasfilm's newest Star Wars show, Star Wars Tales of the Jedi. This is a collection series of 6 episodes that it's an animated series, and it tells stories, and like the best way I can kind of put it, in my opinion, is it kind of is like puzzle pieces that have been missing from other storylines that they're like, okay, here's the pieces that are missing from those storylines, and this is what happened and how things ended up, how they ended up.
For most of the show.
Yeah. There is some new canon that, comes to the show, and some origin story, I guess.
I would say majority of it is origin stories, but some of it does fill in gaps.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's 6 episodes. This is a super easy watch. They're like 15 minutes a piece, 6 episodes, real easy. And we're gonna give you guys, as lovers of all things Star Wars, we're gonna give you guys our take on it. So we'll do this in traditional fashion. Start out with a spoiler-free review, give you guys a score, and then hop into some spoilers. All right. So spoiler-free review. I really enjoyed this. I think the biggest thing for me was that it was such a quick watch. A lot of the things that we've watched recently are long, and a lot of movies we've watched recently are long movies. Like, I don't remember the last time I watched a movie that wasn't over 2 hours long. And, Andor is 45 minutes an episode, which is, average for a TV show, but it's just kind of, I don't know. It's nice for something small, quick, to watch and be able to, just entertain myself for a little bit when I only have, 30 minutes of time to watch. So I enjoyed it, though. It was good. There's a lot of, like I said, gaps that are filled for me personally that I was like, oh, that's how that happened. But I enjoyed it. What did you think, Taylor?
I enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this is actually, for Star Wars especially, I guess it's maybe because I have like a huge soft spot for animated Star Wars, especially. But I love this. I know it's really short. You watched through it really quickly, which I guess is a good thing. I would like more, but
Right.
it definitely gives you some information for very, very cool characters. I'm glad they're getting more
Attention.
Attention that they deserve.
For sure.
I mean, one of them, it's kind of sad because
Yeah.
I would like more of him
But we
older,
can't.
but yeah, obviously
Obviously.
we lost him a while back.
We lost.
Yeah.
You mean Anakin took his head, but yeah.
Well, I'm talking about the real actor.
Right.
He
You're
passed
right.
like
You're right. I
time.
forgot about that.
But yeah, I thought it was great. I know that I had talked to you about it before, and you weren't the biggest fan of the first episode, but I actually enjoyed it. I will say that it's kind of unnecessary in a way, but I still thought it was a nice, like, thing I guess to do
Sure.
for the character.
Yeah. What did you think, Connor?
I loved it. I thought the series was awesome. Like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of the first episode. I don't think it was terrible, but compared to the rest of the series,
Sure.
it was kind of like, I don't know if I'd say out of place, but just
Just a little lackluster.
not on the same level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Subpar. Okay.
Yeah, especially in like some of the animation work.
Sure.
Um,
I think I can.
that first
I think I
episode.
can.
yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So.
But other than that, the show was awesome. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Huge.
I got a question for you guys before we hop into scores. Does this show suffer from the shorter time span, or do you think that the shorter runtime on the episodes actually benefits the show?
You can go.
I think it actually does benefit the show. I think that I think they just need to have like more like quantity, like
just more episodes.
Yeah, more episodes. I think the runtime of the show is fine though. Like I think that it's good that it's quick.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That way you can kind of branch out how they did in the show,
right,
and just kind of do multiple
things
and not have it feel like you're just like in a regular show. If you did that, it would just be all over the place. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So.
Okay.
I think in the overall grand scheme of things, it probably benefits from being shorter, only in the sense of gaining maybe new attention.
Yeah.
For people, if you were already a fan of Clone Wars, Rebels, and all that, you're gonna enjoy it no matter what. Right. And so the short time like that actually kind of detracts, I guess, in a way. Not really. Like it doesn't
left wanting more.
Yeah, it doesn't lower the quality or anything. It's just you want more of it,
right,
instead of just the super short story. So in that sense, I'm in that category of it's short and it's still great. I just want more. But for the sake of maybe gaining new viewers, being shorter is probably an attention grabber, because I know there's a lot of people that have not seen Clone Wars and stuff, which are amazing.
Bad Batch, Rebels, any of that stuff.
Well.
Yeah. The way I feel about it is I think it's a slippery slope. I do agree with you that it is beneficial for new viewers getting the attention of other people and being like, hey, like, come watch this animated stuff that nobody really watches, or like the general public doesn't really watch, because it's only 15 minutes. Like, if you don't like it, you don't like it, but maybe you might. Yeah. It's only 15 minutes. But for me, it's a slippery slope, because if you only have 15-minute episodes, that means that your storytelling and your screenwriting has to be even better than it would be if you had more time, right? It forces the writers and the director and whatnot, and even, animators and all that. It forces them to be at the top of their game, which is great, because then we get things like this, right? We get episodes. There's certain episodes in here, certain pieces of this series that are, in my opinion, top notch.
Yeah.
But to me, it's a slippery slope of like, okay, sure, we get it, but how long are you guys going to sustain that top level production for in this 15-minute category? Is it something that is sustainable through Disney, or is it something that's going to start to fall off because of your constraints of a 15-minute time window in order to tell a story? So I don't know. We'll see. I think that's something for the future, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like a huge thing that anybody particular needs to worry about.
No.
Unless you work at Disney. That's probably something they look for.
Yeah.
But this is absolutely just like Clone Wars and stuff. This is
it's like
Dave Filoni's child. So it's great. Obviously, he kind of has done a lot.
He has like a talent for this specific type of like.
He's very, very good at this.
Sure.
And so it's not really.
Well,
it would make that does make sense once somebody else gets involved. Right. Like I wouldn't be worried about it if it was strictly Dave Filoni continuing, but Disney being Disney, they probably want to add in new directors and stuff, and new writers and all that kind of stuff, and start mixing it, and then then it might get a little weird. But
okay, no, those are definitely fair points. I'm hoping that we get a lot more of this.
Yeah,
I agree.
A lot more. Like I want.
This is a definite watch.
Yeah, I want more. I want more of this particular stories that they tell in this, and I want more of other stuff. There's so much stuff that they could do with this kind of storytelling. This, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. That's pretty much the end of my thought.
Dave Filoni did say in an interview that if he's allowed to do it, he'll just continue to forever make stories.
Right. So I hope. I mean,
this time
they would be kind of dumb not to let him,
because he loves this is his passion to make
preferred
this stuff.
Storytelling style. Yeah,
because I actually remember watching,
he loves this entire time period.
I think it was Kevin Smith talking about Dave Filoni, and he was basically he made this entire thing just on one plane ride. Like while he was flying somewhere, he just wrote all this and then made it.
That's awesome.
And I gotta say, so I do highly recommend this if you are, like I said, a big fan of Star Wars, especially the animated series. if you have never seen an animated series of Star Wars, this is a good starting point of like
That's a good point.
Seeing if you like it or not.
Right.
So if you like if you don't like it, then by all means you ain't, you can just stick to the
Clone Wars, probably not gonna like Bad Batch.
Right. You can
Rebels,
stick to the
stuff,
super cinematic live actions and all that, which is still, really great. But if you were thinking about it, this is a good little short.
That's actually a really good point, that this is a good introduction to the animated side of Star Wars.
Because there's a lot for you, especially if you haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
To start catching up.
7
seasons.
If
you've only seen the live action movies, this will really like.
Yeah.
As specific parts of this will be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like
no,
yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. Let's dive into some scores now, ladies and gentlemen. I'll start off the scoring just because I feel like you guys probably have a little bit more to say. I am sitting at a solid 9. I really enjoyed the show. There's a few episodes and a few pieces of a few episodes that to me, when I sat there and I watched it, I was like, wow, like that was great. And I'll talk about it in the spoiler section. And I really enjoyed it. So I'm sitting at a solid 9 and very hopeful for more.
You go first.
I'm also going to give it a 9. I think it was amazing. I thought the only reason why I wouldn't give it a 10 is just because of the first episode. But other than that, it was awesome. I mean,
okay.
I can't wait to go into the spoilers. But yeah, there was definitely like many like during the entire season after the first episode, I was like, what? The entire time. So it was great. I loved it.
Yeah. All right. Taylor.
For mostly one thing in particular, I cannot give this a 10. I do really want to though, because I actually enjoyed it a lot.
So this would almost blueprint of what a show needs to be a 10.
I mean, it's
because we still haven't figured that out.
Short stories, right? So you can't really compare it to like a full-on TV show or something. Mm-hmm. But for what it is, I enjoyed the hell out of it. Yeah. I think, especially for being shorts, like at least to me, the animation, the music and sound and everything was great.
Sure.
I enjoyed it a lot. Like I said, there's a little weird, like, I guess unnecessary stuff like in the first episode, and there's one more part in particular I wasn't a huge fan of, and I thought it was a waste in particular. Okay. But we'll get into that in spoilers. So 9.
So we're all sitting at a 9.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're biased against Star Wars stuff.
By all means, if you want to, I will accept that.
However, you saw on Rotten Tomatoes, it's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, right? Me. And I haven't heard nothing but good things about this show. So prior to watching this show this past week, I hadn't heard nothing but good things. I don't think there was a single person that I talked to about it that was like, oh, that sucked or that wasn't good. So I don't think we're that biased. I think it really is a good show, and I think it really does a good job of the short time frame episode style of storytelling. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are our scores for you guys. If you guys have not watched the show yet, I highly recommend that you do it. Okay, highly recommend that you go watch it first, and then come back to us and we'll dive into some spoilers, and then you might even like. If you go watch it and then watch our video after, it might even help you guys because there's probably some things that you might need clarification on, and like specific characters and why it matters and why things happen the way they happen. So come back, join us for some spoilers, and we will get to that right now. This is your official
spoiler alert.
Okay. So let's talk about some bad things first. We'll get those out of the way, and then we can kind of dive into the good stuff and just get on a roll. For me, probably the biggest drawback to this show, and the biggest reason why I gave it a 9, and it's not even really that bad because obviously we're giving it 9s, but if I got to be nitpicky, for me it is the dialogue. There are some points in the TV show in various episodes where the dialogue is just rushed and a little unnatural in my opinion, and just a little forced. Not a lot. And to me, it's pretty much just because it's a 15-minute episode and they can't have these long, drawn-out conversations. One scene I will point to in particular that kind of, in my opinion, best embodies it is when Ahsoka Tano is doing her training in the Jedi Temple, and Obi-Wan and Anakin shows up late, and then he watches her and she, beats the test, no problem, whatever. And then they have this conversation out in the hallway that turns into Anakin setting up his own test for her. And that scene was just a little off, in my opinion. The dialogue was just a little weird. But the rest of that scene, or the rest of that episode, is probably my favorite episode outside of that one scene. So, like I said, it's not a gigantic deal. It is only dropping it down from a 10 to a 9. But I did feel like in certain places the dialogue was a little wonky.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I would just say it's maybe attributed to the time length.
I think that, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But I have to say it because that's why.
I didn't think it was that bad, but it's probably just because I wasn't like...
You're just on a high from watching it all.
I mean, it's got characters I just love seeing.
I just don't even care.
I don't know. I didn't think that part was too bad. I mean, it reminded me of like the first couple seasons of Clone Wars.
Right.
Yeah.
Where him and Ahsoka are just like always...
No, you're not wrong. I mean? You're not wrong. I'm basically playing devil's advocate and being super nitpicky. Super nitpicky.
The dialogue
because
can be a little cringy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. It's not horrible. Just a little bit. But that's pretty much it outside of that. So, what is it that is dropping your score from a 10 to a 9, Taylor?
Well, before we do that, I do kind of want to touch bases on that first episode.
Okay, so we can cover Connor's reason why he's dropping from a 10 to a 9.
Mostly because I have like a different opinion on it.
Sure. Yeah. All right.
So
Connor,
the first episode it's an Ahsoka focused one.
It's an Ahsoka origin story, basically.
Yeah.
And like I said, I would say its biggest weakness is that it doesn't really need to be here.
Yeah.
But as far as what actually happens in the episode, I actually enjoy it because it kind of just adds to the fact that like Ahsoka is special, right? Like she's not just some run-of-the-mill Jedi that's been going through the academy or whatever.
Right.
I mean, of course, we've had all the adventures and stuff under Anakin through the Clone Wars and all that. And now soon we'll be seeing her in live action, which will be amazing. Right. At least in her dedicated show. But I really like Ahsoka a lot, and I enjoy seeing... I mean, I know it's kind of like a cutesy episode, I guess.
For sure.
Which plays on, it's kind of a Disney move, I guess, because it's, it's like the Grogu thing, where it's the baby
trying
doing
to draw
the cute
in new
stuff.
viewers. And,
yeah. That's kind of why I think they lead with that episode.
Right. And that was kind of my,
gripe.
Yeah, it's not that the episode's bad. It's just, like you said, it didn't really need to be there. I'm a huge Ahsoka fan. I love Ahsoka. Yeah. She's awesome. But I just, I don't know, man. I don't know that it was super necessary for that episode to be...
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Because it's not necessary.
Follow-up.
That's just, it was just that, and then boop. You know what I mean?
Do you think that maybe the episode is really only in there because for the general public, Ahsoka Tano is not a very well-known character, and so...
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, is they're trying to add a enough of a view of her as a character for people that have not grown up with her.
Right.
Like we've grown up with this character, so we already have loved her for a long time. But a lot of Star Wars, or just majority of fan bases for anything, is a casual fan base, and so they're not going to be watching every single thing and reading every single thing that goes with it.
Right.
And so most people, the first time they've met Ahsoka was probably Mandalorian. And then Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
And so they kind of just want to add a little bit more to her so that people have an idea of who she is as a character.
And why she's important.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with that. I just don't know if this was the best. I
Way
feel like
to
this
do
was
it.
more of like a Grogu thing where they're just like, hey, look at this cute little baby. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Oh no,
she
that's
really need to
absolutely
be like a 1-year-old, like amazing, like already master of the Force, or you know what I mean? Like so in tuned, the same as Grogu and everything. I don't know.
right.
Not,
but that's why I didn't mind it is because if you, I mean, I know we all like Ahsoka here, but like for somebody looking at Ahsoka from this episode, they basically learn that why she's so tuned with the Force and powerful, gets trained by Anakin and grows up and all this stuff.
Right.
And so when they see her on the once it gets to live action, they'll have a better idea of her. And I like it because I feel the same about Grogu. Yeah. Like if you're just gonna have a character that just comes up out of nowhere, and just super powerful, because I mean they don't really so much lean into the midichlorians and blah 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 stupid science part of it anymore. It's kind of a similar thing, which I agree. That's kind of the appeal they're trying to make, but it is like I said, I feel like it is a Disney kind of move, but it's not so like egregious that I like.
Yeah, I don't think it's egregious. Like I said, I don't hate it. I don't
Right, it's not like you're dropping your score to a 7. It's to a 9.
It was just because it felt so out of place after I watched the entire series.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure. I think that's like a totally fair point. It's just because of this series, it's not really a set storyline.
Yeah.
It's kind of just the.
It's the preamble or the prefix or what's it called?
And I feel like if anything, because of the first episode, somebody might see this and be like, okay, this is
what they're
Ahsoka.
expecting.
And then they just stop watching the show because they're like, I don't really care for animated Star Wars.
Right.
But they still get a little bit of Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Whereas Dooku, he's gone.
Yeah.
Like we don't really, we're not really gonna get more. Well, we might get more early times of him.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna see him anymore on the big screen. Like unless they.
Besides that, the animation in the first episode was a little.
It definitely was. To me, it was different than the rest of the series.
Like
tiger,
the saber-tooth tiger.
It's a little weird.
That was kind of rough. I was like, oh okay.
But I think it's just the weird style they were going for.
Yeah. They're going for a very like
for the planet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
I get what they were trying to do, and I get what you're saying because I did feel the same way when I saw the tiger. I was like, it looks a little too like sharp, edgy kind of thing. Yeah. It's a fine episode. It's fine.
It's still it's
just another nitpick.
Yeah. But definitely just for me the I don't know about this the story. It's like 15 minutes, but just compared to the rest of the series, the overall theme of the episode compared to the story of even one of the other episodes was to me it was just so opposite, I guess, or not opposite, just so far.
No, I totally understand.
It's just out of place.
I think it's really just because
the theme and the tone is different.
It goes from really kiddish to real serious. You know what I mean?
Right, and I think it's purely just because he I'm assuming he just kind of wanted he had this thought and was like, oh,
have an easy
I never
intro.
did Ahsoka's origin. Bam, there it is, and then he's like, oh. Let me do some Count Dooku. and then he's like, oh wait, I also didn't do this with us. Let me go back. Yeah. So I understand. It's just it is what it is.
Yeah, that was my only. Yeah, it's fine. That was my only.
If slightly poor animation and a slightly out of place episode is the worst part of this series,
it's not bad.
They're pretty good.
Well. Yeah, they're doing well.
Compared to a lot of the stuff that
affect my the series as a whole. Still amazing for me. So.
All right, Taylor, what is dropping your score from a 10 to a 9? Give it to us.
So actually, I remember two things. So the other big thing, sorry. The one major thing, and I don't know if it's just because of the time length, but it really bothered me, is the Inquisitor setup. He's so badass. And then immediately
just get
dies.
wrecked.
Yeah.
It's not even in a cool way.
We're talking about episode 6. Episode 6, this Inquisitor.
This guy was the coolest Inquisitor.
This Reaper Inquisitor.
Easily the coolest Inquisitor we've ever seen.
Yes,
in my
absolutely.
opinion. Easily.
100%.
Even in the games and everything.
The way he talks, the way he moves, his saber. I mean, I know it's still got the general
same saber, but
design, but I don't know. The way he wields it, it's just
dragging
better.
it through the ground like it's an axe that
he's so intimidating in the show, but then just immediately dies.
Yeah, and their fight was so badass, but then she just immediately kills him.
No, I think that I think this is another point that is probably part of the reason why I dropped my score, because I feel the same way. It's a very anticlimactic ending because there's this big buildup of him looking for Ahsoka. She got turned in.
Like they do everything.
He burned down an entire village for her, and this was gonna kill this guy. And then she saves him, and there's this huge moment where in my opinion, I was fully expecting her to pull a saber to her hand. That's what I was thinking. Like, but she never did.
No, she
just let me have your saber.
Yeah,
which I thought was actually super.
The act of it was cool.
Like, it reminded me a lot of, I don't know if you watched Rebels, but the Obi-Wan Darth Maul fight.
Yes. Yeah.
Where it was like that, but it wasn't satisfying because you had gone through Darth Maul and Obi-Wan's story for so much longer. This is
the problem. Is like
that was such a badass moment, but it's bad. It's a badass moment here, and then the ending is not great because you haven't had that time.
Right. It's complicated because, like I said, we've already grown up with this character.
Sure.
So I already love this character. I
already know that she's capable of destroying an Inquisitor.
I'm fully expecting her to kick his ass. But the problem is, I loved how you set all of this up for this Inquisitor, and then just immediately gets shut down.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like such a wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
Like
there could have been some pretty dope fight scene right there.
Yeah.
And the stage was set for it.
It was.
A burning village, hostages.
Like I said, dragging the saber on the ground, and then...
It was perfectly set up for them to...
Or even if she didn't kill him and they just kind of went on with him hunting her or whatever, it still would have been awesome to see them go have a back and forth.
We needed some kind of fighting, even though I do fully understand that Ahsoka is better than this.
Oh, of course,
more talented.
Yeah.
But even throughout the rest of Star Wars, it's very rare that two lightsaber wielding foes defeat each other so quickly, like that. So. I would have liked to see some kind of fighting, prolong it, and not even that long. It doesn't need to be a 5-minute saber fight.
Instant.
But just maybe 30, 45 seconds of him trying his best to just destroy her, and then she. Even if she never used a lightsaber, let's do some Muhammad Ali dodging, moving around, just making him look like a fool. Maybe we could have got
more of those.
Yeah.
That shit was fucking cool.
Hell yeah, dude, it was
badass.
cool.
So she's and then she just grabs his lightsaber and turns it off. I was like, oh shit!
Dude, what if he walks up his badass and then swings because he's not expecting her to do anything. It's just to have her lightsabers and just
she just stops.
Yeah,
come on, dude.
There's a lot of really cool ways that they could have done this, and what they did was cool.
Yeah,
but I think it needed to be drawn out.
It was just unsatisfying because of how short it was and how little we had. The time between the tension between these two characters.
Right. Yeah.
100% agree. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. All right. So we've kind of gotten rid of most of the bad things. There might be a few things that come up here and there as we're going through it, but let's just do a quick episode by episode run through of the things that we liked and talk about some of the important pieces of those episodes, because there are, in my opinion, some very important things that happen during the episodes. We'll start with episode 1. We'll keep it real brief because, like we said, this is an origin story of Ahsoka. She gets kidnapped. Yeah, she gets kidnapped by this tiger. Ends up force connecting with the
she has
tiger.
some kind of mind meld.
Yeah, she has that Grogu moment of the. What was the thing? The super cool monster.
Oh, the big freaking thing on Tatooine.
The gift that he rides.
I
can't believe I don't remember what it's
the
called.
Rancor.
The Rancor. It's kind of like one of those moments when Grogu was with the Rancor, and he's
just mind melted. Yeah,
it's one of those kind of things.
Yeah, and then she rides it back trophy.
One thing that I thought was really cool and pretty interesting was just the tradition aspect of it. Her mom took her out hunting.
Yeah, very cool.
And it was just it was clear that it was just a custom of their people.
That's actually something I really like as well, because we don't get too much.
There's very little backstory of
her people,
her species.
Asari?
I
can't remember. I think something like that. I think it's the Asari, something like that.
Butcher it.
Their race of people. It's not, Star Wars has so many, but because there's so many, we don't usually learn anything about
Right.
them in particular.
Yeah.
This gives us a little bit of it.
Just a little
Yeah,
bit.
it reminds me a lot of like the whole like Darth Maul's.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. His
in
people.
Clone
Yeah.
Wars where they
On-
had the witches and
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is very cool.
I like that he delves into those things.
Yeah.
Dave Filoni.
I agree.
No, I
Yeah,
agree.
I mean, he kind of spearheads all of that
Yeah.
stuff.
It was a good. That was a really good piece of it. So outside of that, there's not really much else that happens in this. It's just she essentially rescues herself.
Yeah.
But yeah. So episode 2 is the first time that we see Count Dooku, and for some people this might be a little weird because you're watching Ahsoka and so you're expecting the next episode to be about Ahsoka, and then now completely different storylines.
Yeah.
So this is Count Dooku, or sorry, my bad. This is Master Dooku. Is he Master yet? He is,
No.
right? And during this one?
Yes,
No.
it's
And this
Master.
one?
He's still. Oh, that's right, because he's training. He's training Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he is Master Dooku at this point.
He has Qui-Gon Jinn with him.
Right. So for those of you guys
Not
that
until
are
after when it flashes. Yeah.
for those of you guys that are live action only watchers, Count Dooku was actually a Jedi before he turned to the dark side.
Spoilers.
I mean, it does come up during I think it's Attack of the Clones,
Yeah, I
right?
think so.
When
He's like, I am the most powerful Jedi.
well, and when Yoda's like, oh my, because he calls him his old Padawan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, if you were paying attention, but maybe not. So, Count Dooku used to be a Jedi, and this is what we see. We see him as a Jedi, which this is the first time, right, that we've seen Dooku as a Jedi?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because I don't remember anything else. And it's also, this particular episode is kind of like the beginning of his transition to the dark side, right? He's training Qui-Gon Jinn, and they go to this planet where the local
They're investigating
senator
crime.
or whatever, he's basically screwing over his people like all senators do.
Of course.
Yeah.
So they, and
So the
he
people
gets
kidnap his
like
kid.
so upset
Yeah.
about it that he decides to force choke this dude. He's just like, ah! But it's, the only thing that I wanted to stress about this episode was the use of a force choke, right? Which is very uniquely, or very,
Discouraged.
discouraged on the light side of the force.
Yeah,
like,
it's
if
like,
you use a
whoa.
force choke, you're kind of like, oh, bad. Like,
Yeah.
so it was just it was a cool moment for me watching him like just grab the dude, and that was just the signal to me that this is the beginning of Count Dooku's demise.
But it wasn't even like he was doing it out of
Anger and
he was doing it out of like just to save the people that were dying. You know what
I don't
no,
agree with that.
when he does this in particular, he does feel that way initially.
Yeah,
Yes.
But as
because
soon
he,
as the
looks around
fighting
and they're
is
all like
done-
getting shot and
Right.
they're all fucked up, and he's like,
But I think it's more out of anger.
because it stops
Right.
and then he's talking to the dude, and this is when the guy starts going like, "I'm gonna come back and basically ruin all of their lives again."
Right.
Then he's like, "What?"
Yeah, you
well,
thought.
yeah, he says, I'm gonna make an example
Yeah.
of the town and,
Right.
and like
It's
burn
like,
it to the
you
ground.
thought.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
so
it-
he does. Yeah, he does use it out of anger, but I like that his like reasoning is because of you can
Right.
see that he's struggling with it because he's like these people don't deserve this. You know what I mean?
No, you're right, and this is the struggle that we see of Count Dooku throughout the rest of the season.
Right.
Is like he's struggling with the values that are instilled in him as a Jedi and what he believes to be morally right.
And politics.
Because sometimes the Jedi Council and what they say is driven out of politics and out of
The Senate.
corruption. Because at this time there was a lot of corruption within the Jedi
Yeah,
Order.
it happens for a lot of things.
Yeah, so it was really cool to see. It's really cool to see, and this just goes back to like similar to what we talk about in the Andor episodes of just we get to see all of these finer details and this internal struggle of characters that we know and we love.
Yeah.
I mean, I have Count Dooku's lightsaber right here, so like it's just really cool to see how he went from being a very well respected, powerful Jedi to a Sith Lord, and this was the start of it.
Yeah,
So
I thought this episode was awesome. I was like,
Yeah.
This whole episode was like a.
It was
kind
a-
of like a western, like
yeah.
and where they go into the saloon and everyone's
Yeah.
like, and then he's like, oh shit, it's everybody,
Yeah.
But I like how when he does decide to like use the dark side or whatever. He knows that Qui-Gon Jinn's gonna stop him, and he's like,
Yeah.
you have to stay away. Like
Yeah,
he doesn't
he
want to
pushes
get
him away.
like he doesn't
Yeah.
want to get Qui-Gon Jinn involved in what he's doing.
Yeah. That's all I got really for episode 2. I don't know if you guys picked out anything else that was important to the major
not that I
canon.
remember.
Yeah.
No? Okay. Episode 3. We get some more Count Dooku, but the return of Mace Windu. All right, it's the first time we saw Mace Windu since episode 3 of the prequels. So it's really cool to see Mace Windu back. Looks exactly like Samuel L. Jackson, but is not voiced by Samuel L. Jackson. Although in the beginning, when he was first on screen, he kind of sounded like him to me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's kind
The
of
voice
like,
actor
sound
does
close.
a good job.
He sounds close.
No, all
not
the
bad.
voice actors in this show did a good job.
So Dooku and Mace Windu, go to a planet where a Jedi Master Katri died in a ambush, essentially. Right, so they go
That's
to
a trap.
they go to investigate, and this episode just kind of, it's just further showing us the turmoil of Dooku and all of the things that are become his reasoning for turning to the dark side, because he lost a friend and a fellow Jedi, and yet the council is just not like doing anything, and they're not supporting him. And even Mace Windu, like, as much as I love Mace Windu, and
he's very by the book. He's like, we're not.
Yeah, he's
like, hey, we should take what we have now, go back to the council, and get further guidance. But Dooku's like, no,
we gotta do something now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So it's what I really like about this episode is the juxtaposition of the two characters, right? Mace Windu, like you said, very by the book, and then Dooku kind of more emotional and more raw in going off of what he feels is
he
right.
wants to do the right
So
thing.
we get the similar feeling for Anakin and Obi-Wan whenever they're growing up and training and stuff.
Yes.
Like Obi-Wan is
Right.
Mace Windu in this case.
Yeah. No,
and he's
you're
more
right.
like Anakin.
Yeah, throughout you're talking about like throughout the Clone Wars
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
This seems like a significant jump in time.
Yes, it's got to
It
be.
is, yeah.
Because he's no longer training Qui-Gon
He's no
Jinn.
longer training, and I think, is this the episode that we see Qui-Gon Jinn at the
No, that's the
next
next
episode?
one.
Okay, so this episode ends with them finding out that the senator had. Was it a senator of that
it was
planet?
No, it was
guardsman
his.
of the
Yeah, the
senator.
Oh, right,
guards.
right.
He was just
plotted
he was just
Right.
the puppet,
Yeah.
and then the guards were the ones doing everything.
They killed the Jedi because they wanted
They wanted to rebel
their
against
own,
the Senate.
Yeah, they
right?
wanted their own ideals in the Senate
Yeah.
so that they could save their planet, because
Right.
he was like selling their resources
Right.
from the planet for profit.
Yeah. All right. There's
Awesome fight scene. by the way.
Oh yeah, the
the fight
ambush.
scene was fucking amazing.
Yeah, those droids were pretty nuts.
Yeah, those droids were
like skeleton.
like,
looking
I love
droids.
the cinematography. Like in all of these like animated series, they do like in the newer ones, they do an amazing job of like fight scene cinematography with the when he cuts the tree in half and like pushes it over, and then all the dust flies in the air, and you just see their lightsabers going around, and everyone's like trying to shoot them, and then they just come out and they're like, "Wah!" And like, you know what I mean?
No, I 100% agree.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I 100% agree. It was great. I loved this episode. Just another good episode in my opinion. Yeah. All right, episode 4.
This one was a banger.
This is my last thing I have to pick about
The
this
voice?
show is this character
Oh,
specifically.
Master Yaddle. What about Master Yaddle?
That it exists.
Yeah, I think what they're doing is just
Yeah.
trying to add more of Yoda's species so that
Well,
They are, but the problem is it goes against everything we
Right.
know of it before.
right
I understand why it's happening. It's just it feels weird. to me.
wrong.
Well, the reason why they put her in this was to explain why she disappears between episode 1 and 2, because she's in episode 1. She's on the Jedi Council
Yeah.
in the movie. But she then is no longer
Oh
anywhere
right.
between episode 1, 2, and 3. So she's gone after episode 1.
Yeah, we never see her again.
Right, and this takes place during episode 1. After, this fight scene after
Right.
Qui-Gon Jinn dies.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot that she was on the council in the
So this is like
Phantom
another piece
Menace.
that they're putting in there of like, this is what
Just to
happened to
explain.
this person.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. So the episode begins with Dooku essentially covering up the whole communal plan. For those of you that have watched, The original, it's where the clones are made and, you know, all that stuff. And so he deletes the record of Kamino from the Jedi records and whatnot. And then it's also...
Yeah, so it explains that he's the one who deleted it. That's why Obi-Wan couldn't find it.
That's why, yeah. And then this is also when Qui-Gon Jinn dies, right?
Well, so in the beginning, this takes place during the entire episode of the movie. So in the beginning, he deletes the information that Sifo Dyas put in about Kamino, and then he finds out that Qui-Gon Jinn encountered a Sith Lord.
Right. Oh, and then he finds out he died.
Yeah.
Right. And then he talks to Qui-Gon Jinn, and he's like, nobody believes you, do they? And he's like, no, they don't. You know, because they don't think that the Sith are back. But this is after he picks up Anakin. Right. He fights Darth Maul on Tatooine, getting to the ship, and then they leave. And go back to Coruscant.
And then there's another jump in time. So, ladies and gentlemen, real quick, I just want to comment on the fact that not only are there time jumps between episodes, but there's also time jumps within the episode as well between various shots. And it kind of is up to you to kind of keep track of it, but I feel like they do a good enough job to make you understand that. And plus, if it's you clear. Know... Yeah. Well, let me rephrase that. If you know the major canon, then you should be able to pick up that there was a time jump. If you've never seen, episode 1 through 3, then you probably would take a little bit longer to pick up that there was a time jump.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, Qui-Gon Jinn dies. Obviously, we have to relive that again.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
But we get Count Dooku super emotional, super, hurting because he pretty much blames the council because the council didn't believe Qui-Gon Jinn, and
they basically allowed him to die.
So this was essentially just the last straw.
Yeah, this was his. This was for him the turn to the dark side. He was like, my Padawan is dead.
Yeah.
The person he cared about probably the most.
First, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he goes off to meet up with Emperor Palpatine to talk about their nefarious plans and whatnot.
Still in Coruscant, just somewhere.
Not nice looking in Coruscant.
Yeah, it's in like a destroyed part of Coruscant that nobody lives in apparently.
I
don't know where that is.
I don't think there is really. Maybe at this time, maybe.
I don't know.
I guess, but like. Because the Coruscant we know from the original trilogy is supposed to be this grand,
it's
extravagant,
always luxurious.
The entire planet is just a city. Yeah. But I guess there's just
maybe because
parts of the city,
maybe in the beginning, or like earlier during this time period, I guess.
Or it's just the bottom, the bottom level.
It's where the light doesn't touch.
Yeah, exactly.
So we get him going off to meet up with.
But this entire time, Yaddle has been talking,
kind of watching him.
Yeah, so in the beginning of the episode, she kind of like is with Qui-Gon Jinn, trying to get ascertain more information from him about the Sith Lord, and then they meet up with Count Dooku, and then she tries to kind of defend the council and be like, well, let's not rush to judgment.
Right.
We have to play it safe.
Of course.
And then it kind of I like the juxtaposition between these two characters because they do a lot of like imagery of like after that conversation, like Count Dooku walks towards like a dark area and she's walking in the light away from him. You know what I mean? It's like a very nice imagery wise. It's very nice to see like their opposite sides, and then when he's standing in front of the tree and he's like, emotional about Qui-Gon's death, she can feel that he blames.
Right. She can feel his
she's the one who comes
anger
to him and
like, hatred.
Are you okay? And he's like,
not really.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna have to be. And then she like, is concerned, and she kind of feels that he's
something going on.
Yeah, there's something happening.
So she follows him to the meetup, and this is where we see the actual transition from the light to the dark, because unfortunately Master Yaddle does what any Jedi should have and would have done in her place, and decides to fight Count Dooku.
Well, because she confronts
she confronts him. She confronts him, and she's like, "Hey, like, don't do it.
Yeah, join me.
We can still redeem. You can still redeem yourself. Like, help me take him down, bring him in, and we can figure your stuff out." And then Duke was just like, "Nah, it's too late."
I really loved this moment because it's so depressing.
Yeah.
Because she's wrong.
Yeah.
If he went back,
there's nothing she could do.
This is the thing that like.
That's why I loved this episode. It was so like, not dark, but like adult. You know what I mean?
Well, it is dark in a sense.
Yeah.
Like this is something that I guess might not be so like focused on for some people with Star Wars in general, because it's always been there. It's just people overlook it because it gets glorified by like the good guys doing stuff. But it like especially for Dooku, it's always been like relevant, especially with the Republic and the Jedi Council and all that good stuff. I know they're the good guys, but the good guys are never always
completely
doing good things.
Yeah.
And so it's sad because we're seeing this is the point where Dooku officially basically turns.
Yeah.
And she, of course, being this high-level master, still believes, reasonably in like the Jedi Council and all this stuff. But I know that is not what would happen if Dooku went back with her. They would have absolutely punished him and probably killed him.
Yeah.
Because they can't risk
or just imprisoned him forever.
You're right, which is kind of the same thing.
Yeah. They wouldn't have
risk the chance
him.
of somebody being so powerful, thinking, doing what he does and thinking the way he does, just doing whatever he wants.
No, you're 100% right.
Yeah. And she realizes that, like, during the fight, when they're fighting and she's hiding behind the ship, and she's like, you're right. Like,
well, she does admit that she
was wrong.
That not only was she wrong, but that, like, the council isn't right as well all the time. And it's a pretty sad moment for me because it's almost like we're watching Master Yaddle's life flash before her eyes.
Yeah.
Like she's having this moment.
She knows she's gonna die.
Yeah, she knows that she's outmatched. She knows that. I mean, Count Dooku is known for dueling, right? Like throughout his training and throughout his life as a Jedi, he was known for being a master of the saber and being able to just absolutely demolish people with a lightsaber. So she knows that she's gonna die because she also knows that she doesn't have the ability to run away either.
Yeah.
Because there's even a scene.
Even if she beats him, there's no way she's gonna beat Darth Sidious.
No.
Right.
In a fight.
She knows she's not gonna run away because that's just not who she is, and she knows she's not gonna beat Dooku. So she has this moment, or she has a few moments along the way of just kind of like a self-reflection thing, where we can see her kind of like just working through some things in her head as she's fighting him, and to me it's really sad because
it's almost like the acceptance of
her
fate.
Of her fate, and knowing that like she's really nothing she can do about it. So that's pretty sad.
This was probably one of my favorite episodes of the
and it's also sad for Dooku too, because like we identify with Dooku and we understand what he's going through and what he's feeling. But at the same time, like, dude, you don't have to kill her, But
the thing is, he's also kind of in a similar position where there is no going back.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he's at a point where like this is his, we'll call it a final test, right? Like, in order to.
Yeah.
Because even if he joins Yaddle, there's no guarantee that he could defeat Sidious anyway. Like he's
right. It's either
not even Darth Maul and his brother.
It's like,
he's in conflict on so many levels. It's like, I've already walked to the edge.
I might as well jump off.
Yeah.
And so he does by
but even when he does, he's like, you can tell that he's hesitant and he doesn't want to kill her.
No.
Like it's not like he hates her. He just doesn't like what's happening with the council, all the decisions.
And they do orchestrate it in a pretty decent way of like, it's kind of a mercy killing almost. Like,
well, I think by the end of it, when he does actually kill her, he's just like, that's it.
Well, he's just, the way I took it is he's like, look,
done.
Like, either I kill you or he kills you. So I'm just going to get it over with for you and just make it as, I mean, he literally says, let me give you some peace. And so he does.
Which I loved.
Yeah. It was a very good line there. Yeah.
Especially, I mean, I know it's just like a callback to earlier, but
you can
the way it gets delivered is just it's great. It's powerful.
It really is.
Just like, I thought that was pretty brutal. Like
it was.
That ending. Where
it was a
like,
little tough to watch. It was kind of
like,
damn.
Dude. That's what I thought. Like, to me, it seemed like at that point he was just like.
Yeah, I'm just fully into it.
Even though it was a mercy killing, he had fully turned over to like.
Oh yeah.
No, for sure.
I don't care anymore.
Yeah, it's the same I feel whenever we see Anakin
Right.
transition. It's just
There's a tipping
it gets
point.
to the point they accept
he's
it
like,
and they're just
yeah.
it's done.
Just like,
Yeah.
whatever.
And I'm moving
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm already here. Might as well just go all the way.
Yeah. But their fight scene was awesome. I
It
thought.
was fun. Yeah, it was very indicative of Count
Yeah.
Dooku and Yoda.
Right.
During
Yeah,
episode
which,
2.
Yeah,
I feel like it's
I
very
thought it
similar.
was like a great bait and switch where he like,
The
you know,
door.
he like outplays her and then like the door closes on her and I was like, oh shit, and she's
Yeah.
like
Just
dead.
kidding.
And then she's like holding the door up and he's like in awe of like what's happening before
Yeah.
him, and then she like falls over and
Yeah.
is still defeated.
Yeah,
but-
which, like you said, I agree. It was, I'm sure it was intentional, but it's very reminiscent of Yoda and Count Dooku.
Yeah.
Even with the Force
The
using as well.
imagery,
Whenever
the-
Dooku was like knocking the pillars and shit.
Yeah.
It was, it was great.
No, it was great. I really liked it.
Yeah, this episode was awesome.
All right, let's move on to episode 5, which for me was my favorite episode outside of the beginning dialogue. But and I'll talk about why. So obviously, I love Ahsoka Tano, right? Love her. She's amazing. And this episode is basically her training the entire time, but it's such a cool way that they do it to me of using this whole test idea to create time jumps.
Yeah, to tie
Right.
it into the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, just to create time jumps within the episode.
Yeah.
Other episodes, we get hard cuts. We get, Dooku talking to this person and Qui-Gon's just still alive, and then cuts, and then all right, he's at a tree because he's mourning the death of Qui-Gon Jinn. This one, we get cuts of her, and then she's doing the same thing when the cut comes back. But when you, at the end of it, when you realize that time has been progressing, and you go back and you either rewatch or think about it, almost every time it cuts, it's a time jump within her story and her training. And so it was just really cool to me. I thought it was a really cool way of them doing the time jumps within an episode.
Yeah.
And obviously to see Captain Rex and the boys was dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the 501st.
I have a huge. Well, I love Ahsoka.
You have a huge
but
heart on for.
I have a huge thing for the troopers. right?
Yes.
I know I say this all the time, but they're one of my favorite characters in the show and movies and stuff because there's so much more to them than is usually given,
Yeah.
and we see more of it in this, just like you do in the Clone Wars
Yeah,
and the
Dave
Bad
Filoni
Batch.
gives them a lot of love.
Yeah, which I love,
Yeah.
especially with like Captain Rex and stuff because, like you said, it does perfect skipping between. Her training with Anakin, the troopers,
Right.
all the way up until the end, and that's when it's that moment of like,
Oh,
holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. When that happened, my mind was blown.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
oh my god.
That was the
this
best
is
part of-
Order
yeah.
66,
Yeah.
and I'm
Right.
watching how Ahsoka Tano survived Order
Yeah.
66.
Right.
Did you watch the last season?
And-
of Clone Wars?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so that's
But-
what that was like. That's why, like,
Yeah.
when that happened,
Yeah,
like
it just-
all the scenes from the last season
Yes,
of Clone Wars
it starts
clicked in
making
my mind, and I was
sense.
Like, oh
Holy-
shit!
yeah, exactly.
It all kind of like just meshes and
Right.
creates.
This is why they
Yeah.
like you said the end is so
So
powerful.
Yeah,
good.
it's very
Because-
emotional because I was like, oh,
Yeah,
fuck.
for
And
those
she, like,
of you
gets
who
out
have
of the,
watched
yeah.
all the the Clone Wars and stuff, the moment it hits, like, and you see her walk out, and Captain Rex is like, "I hope that training's paid off."
That's
And
what I knew.
You're like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god!"
When I-
and
when I
everything,
heard-
yeah, it just flashes between in
Yes,
front of your
yeah.
eyes.
I'm
You're
like-
like, "Whoa!"
I was on the couch with Kristen, and I sat up and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kristen was like, "What?" Right? You wouldn't understand.
Yeah, it's
It's
like-
amazing.
Like I
Yeah.
said, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
As soon as it hits.
That's why this is my favorite episode.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like
amazing.
when we first see Order 66.
Yes.
There's so many like memories and emotions that just like flash and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, this is happening right now."
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, I was like, oh
especially
my God. Like, I was about to
because
cry because I was
for
like,
the short little time
it
they touch
reminded
on
me of the
with the troopers, like
yeah.
you get so attached to them because
Yeah.
they're such good friends and like almost
Yeah.
like family.
That's why the
Yeah.
last season was so
So
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
emotional.
Like,
Gosh,
and to
gut-wrenching.
see this happen,
It
like
was
you know what's
literally
gonna
her and
happen
Rex
again.
versus everybody. Yeah.
Every time it just
Yeah.
hits every time.
it was.
Yeah, when the
That
bay doors
scene.
open and there was like
Yes.
And you
Oh,
see all
hundreds
the
of
red,
clone
the
troopers,
red,
like,
yeah, and I was just like,
shoulder pad or
yeah,
whatever it is.
the ARC troopers and everything. I was
Yeah.
like, oh fuck, dude, like,
Here we go.
yeah, I was like,
Execute order.
yeah, dude, that shit fucked me up. I was like, holy fuck,
Yeah.
like,
No, I agree 100%.
No, I'm telling you,
I'm
dude.
dead. I
You
turned
can-
into a skeleton.
You can ask Kristen. I
wasn't
literally,
ready.
Yeah.
I literally sat up in the couch. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
I couldn't express the way I was feeling to her because I was just like, you just don't get it. Like, she
it
asked
takes too
me,
long to explain.
and I gave her a real brief explanation, but like I was just like, unless you've
You'd have to
watched
watch the show,
everything
yeah.
and you're invested in these characters like I am, it just doesn't hit you the same way.
Yeah.
So for those of you that have not seen the Clone Wars and you guys don't fully understand what happened during the ending of episode 5, I highly recommend. I mean, you could just watch the last season, I guess,
But it won't be.
but it
It's
won't
still
be
not
as
quite the
good.
same, yeah.
Start
but-
at like the 3rd season
Yeah.
and just watch from the 3rd season.
Watch it and then come back and watch this again, and I promise you'll have that same "oh my god" reaction that we
Yeah.
all had. So, yeah,
For sure.
that's probably the biggest connection to major canon
Yeah.
of the season, and just the most like mind blowing, the most mind blowing part of the season. So, final episode, right? We talked about it a little bit, but there's also some other stuff that happens in this episode that I think is important. So we get this part. We talked about the fight scene. We wish it would have been longer. This Inquisitor is dope.
Yep.
The part that I want to bring up and talk about is the whole Senator Organa part.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to Princess Leia's funeral, right?
Padme.
Or sorry, my bad. Padme's funeral. I don't know why I said that. Sorry. Padme's funeral. And there's actually a really cool shot of Organa like looking across the crowd and seeing her with her hood on.
Yeah.
And it was just a really cool shot
Yeah.
of
she
it.
disappears.
Yeah. And then they meet up in like a hallway or whatever, and Organa is just like, "Why are you here?" And very typical of what you would expect. But I love Senator Organa in general, so it's just really cool to see him more often throughout canon, and he gives her this communicator device or whatever to use to talk to him, and so it's just more connections, I guess, of his rebellious activity against the Empire on Alderaan, and then like how does that connect with the stuff we see in Andor, and then how does it all come to a head of him being one of the main leaders of the Resistance? So it's just a really cool scene for me.
Right.
And,
No, it is for sure.
And
it's really good. The thing I loved about it is just because it's the beginning of Ahsoka's
journey.
being on her journey on.
oh yeah,
herself.
that's a good point.
It like.
Well, that's not. That's
I mean, I
not
know
int-
that's literally what it is, but
Yeah.
like you,
But you can see, you can tell
feel
yeah.
the
right.
like the tension,
Yeah.
or like I guess anxiety that
So-
she might have, like
Yeah, 'cause
being
this is
about to
directly
embark on this.
because she's still in the Y-wing from the
From
yeah. Venator that she escaped.
Yeah,
right.
During Order 66.
And Captain Rex is with her.
Right.
Yeah.
So this
So-
is like directly
yeah,
after.
she's still on the run.
Yeah.
Right.
Trying to like talk
Figure
to
her
him
stuff out,
and he's
yeah.
just like, look, please just take this communicator. Like,
Get out of here.
if you need anything, just get in contact with him. And she's like, no, I'm just gonna like disappear or whatever.
Yeah.
And I love that he
Talks to
it's
her,
funny
but
because he's
not
talking
talk
to these
to-
troopers and he's just like trying to just blow it off or whatever, but he's secretly talking to her.
Yeah, it's a cool
And
moment.
they're like,
They're
what?
like, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which makes sense because it's like I would
We
probably
need
feel the
to
same.
get
Of
out of this area.
like, what? Sure,
Yeah,
whatever.
it was so depressing to see those stormtroopers, man. Like, just they're like they're just shut off. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
their personalities are
No,
gone.
that's a really good point that I never really thought about. Like, really in general, is that they just seem shut off.
Yeah, after this point,
Well,
they're gone. Like
It's just
their souls are gone.
personalities.
Like,
yeah,
they're just,
and it's literally just because
and it's so sad to see them all
'Cause
the
of their
time.
program.
It is
From,
very-
from this
it's
point,
very
yeah,
depressing.
from Order 66 on, like in the animated
Yeah.
series, to see them like that, where they're just like
right because
dead.
we like when you as you're like growing up with them and
Yeah.
they're like
They're just
we learn
completely-
all,
yeah.
they all have their own personalities.
they
and
give
lives.
themselves their own names.
Yeah, they got
like,
names. They're people. I know
Right.
they're
Yeah.
clones, but like
They have souls.
right, they're not just robots.
Yeah.
They are in a sense though,
Because
which
they're
is as we've
programmed.
learned.
Right.
But,
Right,
yeah.
But then
they're
in a split
programmed.
second,
And it's just like
their
it's
souls
just
are gone.
sad, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
like if you had like your best friend and then all of a sudden, boop, gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, imagine we were programmed and then all of a
Right.
sudden somebody says Order 66 and we just pretend we don't know each other.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
What's that movie that's coming up? Banshees of...
Oh, Banshees of Inisherin? Yeah.
We're not friends anymore.
That's why
I just didn't feel like being
even
friends.
like Bad Batch, I would just get sad because it's just like
At least the only plus side of the Bad Batch is we have the Bad Batch, so they're not in sync with.
Well, it just shows to show that there's always exceptions to the rule, and there's always like we'll call it malfunctions because according to them, they're not really. They're just people that didn't get affected by the programming.
I mean, I'm super glad Captain Rex took his.
Right, he pulled a
shit out.
He pulled a message
because he was like, like I don't know, Commander Cody and everybody just they're
all
like gone. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
I was sorry. This is just reminding me of 46.
Yeah, let's just go down.
Let's get over this.
It's really sad to think about.
Memory lane. Yeah. Just In summary, ladies and gentlemen, this show was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good. It did a really good job of answering some questions that we have had. It did a really good job of calling back to canon that's already been established and connecting some new storylines. And it just did a really good job of reinforcing a lot of the things that we've gotten from other animated series and other canon. So,
should we go over what happens between the Organa thing and her fight with the Inquisitor?
Oh yeah, well she goes off into hiding.
Yeah, she ends up at some village.
Yeah, she's just at a village where she tries to hide, but then it's like narc. An itch. Yeah. It cannot be
some
helped.
Narc kid comes up and is like, "Hey, there might be a Jedi."
Yeah. Idiot calls the Empire. Yeah. He's like, "Hey, I found a Jedi. You guys are cool, right?
And where's my reward?
Where's my reward?" And then everything's rewarded. And he's like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
But yeah. This episode
that's pretty much it. I mean, to me, it's not super important, but yeah, great, amazing, really liked it. Disney Plus, Lucasfilm, Dave Filoni, please give us more, please. Yeah. I don't care if it's more seasons of this or if it's just other tales, other storylines, other stuff. Yeah. Just give us more.
Yeah.
I would love. It's probably like now that I think about it, it's probably not going to be too much about Ahsoka because she's getting her own show, so we'll get all that. But there's so many others. There's so much other stories and stuff that they could do something like this for.
For sure.
Even like you said,
Count Dooku shit would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, earlier in his like, I want to see how did he become so amazing with the lightsaber.
Yeah, or like
why is he?
Yeah, how he picked Qui-Gon Jinn as his Padawan, or whatever it is. I mean,
or maybe even show how that process works, right?
Yeah.
How do you get? Is it just an assignment, or is it something that you like feel through the Force?
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. So I'm hoping that Dave Filoni has seen the reaction to this show, not just from our podcast, because obviously Dave Filoni watches our podcast.
Yeah.
But that I'm hoping that he sees that reaction and is going to give us more of this. So, any final thoughts you guys have to say on the Tales of the Jedi show?
I thought it was awesome.
Yep.
Loved it. Amazing.
I thought it was weird. I don't know why do their I don't know if every Inquisitor lightsaber sounds like Kylo Ren's lightsaber, but this guy's lightsaber sounds exactly like Kylo Ren's lightsaber.
Well, it was also dragging through the ground. But
even like when he's holding it in the air, and it's like just like. You know what I mean? It's like even though it's like not unstable at all.
Yeah,
I just thought I was like,
crystal.
It's cool. I thought it was awesome, but I was just like,
cool.
It's a thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I was just like, why does it make that sound? But
maybe they were just going for a different sound, and it just ended up being close to Kylo Ren.
I thought it was awesome. I was just like throwing my thought out there.
No, that's a good thought. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let us know down in the comments what you guys thought of this season or this show. Did you guys enjoy it? Are you guys a fan of the 15-minute or so episode timeline, or do you guys prefer a little bit longer? Let us know down in the comments below. We'd love to hear you guys. Thank you for all the support, all of the views and stuff lately. It's been great. Really, I'm having a great time over here.
Yeah.
All of your guys is watching videos and subscribing and stuff. It makes it more enjoyable for us to do this and actually produce content. So thank you guys. Please like, subscribe, comment, share with a friend. Catch us on social media, Anykind Media Cast on Instagram and Twitter. Check out more of our episodes. We'll have some more episodes coming with Connor soon before he leaves us, and maybe a future show in the works. Maybe.
Could be.
Yeah. All right, stay tuned for that, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys. Catch you guys in the next episode.
let us give you peace.